Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. Well, let's start with Curtis. Curtis is talking to Jordan and Stella, and he's saying, look, a clerk's head should roll. They misfiled our divorce papers. Well, bottom line, you know what, Curtis? If that really happened, you're not going to be able to prove which clerk in a huge courthouse misfiled your papers. You're just not going to be able to find it, right? So Jordan is looking at Stella like, okay, now are you going to come clean with your nephew? And Stella's just looking at Curtis like a deer looking into headlights. Well, yeah, mistakes do happen, Curtis. Things get misfiled, and no, I want some answers, and blah, blah, blah. So finally, Jordan says, you know what, Curtis? Now that I really think about it, I think this is all my fault. And Stella kind of looks at Jordan like, what? She goes, there was so much going on then that I had the papers. I had every intentions on filing them, but then my caseload was so heavy. Now that I think about it, I never went to the courthouse to file those papers. And then pretty much, soon after that, I got sick, had to go away. By the time I got back to my office, uh, nothing was where it was. I guess they got thrown away, or misplaced. And he's like, what? Wait, Jordan, that is so irresponsible of you. He goes, you're right. It sure is. He goes, okay, I'm going to have my attorney draw up some new papers. And Jordan says, that's going to be the fastest way. I will immediately sign them and hand them back to you. I'll immediately sign them. Right? He goes, that way, everything will happen smoothly. He goes, oh, I can't believe this. Okay, but I'm going to expedite it. So Curtis leaves the room and Stella looks at Jordan and Stella says, Jordan, why'd you do that? And that's the look on Jordan's face looking at Stella like, what? You had a million times to say, nephew. I was meddling, nephew. I took the papers, and unfortunately, nephew, I had a stroke. I am so sorry. Fall down on Curtis's mercy, and guess what? He would forgive Aunt Stella like there's no tomorrow, right? I just got my memory back, nephew, when I saw your engagement ring. Because Stella has said all along to everybody, I think I'm forgetting something very important I was supposed to do. Okay. But no, she let Jordan spin this crazy, ridiculous story and then says, why'd you do it? So Jordan says, I did it because, for one, Curtis will be upset with me, but he'll get over it. There was no need for him. You're supposed to be officiating this. There's no need for Curtis to get upset with you. There's no need for Portia to get upset with you. They can get upset with me, they'll get over it. So that's why I did it. And then they had a nice moment, where she goes, Jordan, who would have thought we would end up here, with our rocky start? And really was Stella's rocky start. She couldn't stand Jordan. So, we really are family. No matter what, no matter who my nephew marries, you are my family, Jordan. So then Jordan starts working the angle saying, speaking of family, I don't have a lot of it. Maybe I should do one of those ancestry DNA tests. And Stella goes, yeah. She goes, which one did you use? She goes, I'll forward you the letter they sent me with all my results. And she's like, yeah. She goes, but don't you think it was strange? I remember they said you had a close relative in Port Charles. And in my mind, I'm thinking TJ, except TJ never took a DNA test. So not TJ. Although it was interesting when TJ found out Sean was his father, I guess there was no DNA test done by Sean or TJ. Well, not that they would have submitted to an ancestry site. You would have to physically send your DNA to one of these sites so that it could be put in the database of a site, because different people's paternity tests, that's completely different. So she says, yeah, she goes, yeah, that was a glitch somehow. So now Jordan got the information that she wanted, so she could move further. Then Curtis shows up at GH and he tells Portia that, what happened. And he's saying, no, something's not adding up unless Jordan intentionally didn't want to, sign those divorce papers. So he's going to make more of it than it is. And I think at that point, Stella's going to say, look, it was me. Jordan was just doing it to protect me. So I really believe that's how it actually is going to come out. So then we have, let's see, Finn talking to Elizabeth. I really, trust me, I fast forwarded quite a bit of that because we spend more time with her, Finn being her psychologist than anything. So whatever Elizabeth teetering, maybe I should go to the police. Maybe I should. Why is Nicholas doing that? I think Nicholas is trying to give himself an alibi. Blah, back and oh my goodness, that is just such time waste, time filler, period. So then we have Sasha. Sasha's at the meeting where she needs to sign the guardianship if that's the route she's gonna go. So she needs a moment. She's shaky. She's nervous because that's a huge step. And Brando's like, you do not have to do this. We can, whatever route you want, Sasha, you have options. You could take this right to trial and fight the charges. You can do whatever. This just is a for sure way. The judge has already signed off on this, that if you do this, you don't have to go to jail, to prison. And if you fight it, we don't know how that's going to turn out, but that is still your option and it is still your choice. So after some time, and what's her name? Brando's mother. Goodness, I don't know why. Gladys was there too. And so Sasha, in the end, they call the executor or the person overseeing it back in the room, and she says, okay, she's ready to sign. And she does, she signs it. And Brando says that, that this is not forever, because part of the stipulations, the court's like, oh, no, she's got to go through outpatient treatment. Okay. And she has to get better. And so anyway, he says, we'll keep revisiting this until, you're better, and then we will dissolve this. So she says, okay. So they end up going to Charlie's to get a bite, to eat. And Gladys, Sunny, they run into Sunny there, but I'm going to talk about Sunny at the hospital a little bit earlier before they get there. Sunny's at the hospital. He had already come out of Ava's room, and he runs into Nicholas. And Sunny tells Nicholas, you know what? I want to know, why is it Ava believes you're the one that hurt her? Even though Ava never told him that. But Sunny is running with his gut, right? He goes, if I get proof that you did, you're going to answer to me. And Nicholas is like, you can't keep me out of my wife's room. And he goes, Ava's the one that doesn't want you in her room. And if you get within 5 feet of Ava, you're not going to like what happens. And so the elevator opens and Sunny's like, after you. And Nicholas is like, no, thank you. So Sunny gets on the elevator, and that's when he gave him you even look at Ava, you get within 5 feet and you're not gonna like what happens. And then the doors close, and Nicholas is like, so Nicholas picks up the phone and he goes, get over here right away. And I'm thinking, oh, who's he talking to, right? So we have Portia in Ava's room. She's examining Ava, and Ava sees her engagement ring, and Portia says, "If Curtis it proposed," and Ava says, "Well, why are you happy about it? Because you don't seem too happy." And she goes, "Well, look, it's I'm trying to be sensitive to your needs. I know you don't want your husband in here seeing you. I know something is not going right with that. So I didn't want to just rub me and Curtis in your face." And so Ava just opens up about, she didn't tell everything, but she just says, "No, it's questionable if Nicholas did this to me or not." And Portia's like, "Really?" She goes, and Ava says, "But Nicholas says he was with Elizabeth Weber." And, or is she going by Baldwin now? Elizabeth Baldwin. And Portia says, "Well, okay, Elizabeth wouldn't just lie to the police." And Neighbor goes, "They have been friends a long time. And I definitely believe they would cover for one another. I definitely believe that." So Portia's like, "Wow." And so as they're talking, now Nicholas has got some gumption. You hear Nicholas's voice and arguing because Nicholas's muscle came. Nicholas's muscle is there now. And now look at Nicholas's stance. Oh, he's going to do something right now, right? Got his hand behind his back. His feet are spread apart a little bit. Nicholas, go sit down. Get out of my way. I'm getting in my wife's room. And I think his name is Frank, or whoever the bodyguard, Sonny's bodyguard, is like, "No, you're not." And so Nicholas like, "Well, then there's going to be some trouble." And Frank, he stepped forward, right? Like, okay, things are about to go down then, right there in the hospital. So Portia comes out, and Nicholas is like, "You can't keep me out of my wife's room." And she goes, "Ava is the one that doesn't want you in her room. It's Ava, my patient." And so he goes, "I still have a," so he goes, what did he say? "Try to keep me from my wife. You're not gonna like," something stupid and flippant he said to Jordan. And Curtis comes around the corner, and Curtis goes, "Are you threatening my wife?" And Nicholas says, "I have a right to see my wife." So Curtis says, "From what I understand, your wife, Ava, does not want to see you. And guess what? The police have been called. So you got one or two things that's going to happen here. The police are going to get involved, or you're going to leave before they get here." So Nicholas tells this guy, "Let's go. But this ain't over. Let's go." So they leave, right? And Jordan goes back in to check on Ava because Ava's blood pressure rose when she heard Nicholas's voice, right? And so she's looking like, "Okay, you're okay. He's gone." And Ava's like, "Oh my goodness." So then towards the end of the show, I guess Ava had called Nicholas to come back. And so Frank comes in the room with Nicholas. And so she tells Frank, "Thank you, Frank. You could stand outside the door." She goes, "I got a few words I'm going to say to my husband." So that's where they left that off. But then we had, at the beginning of the show, we had Carly talking to Jocelyn at Charlie's, going over the last minute checklist because Carly's going away to this summit, the seminar summit. And, instructions on Avery and Donna and blah, blah, blah. And Carly's like, "This is just not a good time for me to be going with Ava still in the hospital." And Jocelyn's like, "Mom, stop it. We already have it covered. I know everything. The nanny is going to be with them every step of the way. They're staying at Sunny's penthouse. If they need me for anything," she goes, "Look, I can definitely I can suck it up and do whatever I need to for my sisters. I can go to Sunny's penthouse and handle whatever they need. You do not have to worry." So Carly says, "Thank you. Good. Thank you so much." And so Dex walks in. And Jocelyn looks at him and he sits down, and Carly's like, hey, you want to go say hi to your friend? And Jocelyn looks at her like, no, why? Well, I mean, you guys shared at a big event, you know, you saved Ava. And she goes, no, he and I have talked since then. We're good. So she continues to talk to Carly. And then Carly gets up, she's leaving, and she runs into Sunny on her way out the door. And she goes, I was giving Jocelyn some last minute instructions. And she goes, look, we are fine. The girls are going to be fine. You have a good trip. And so Carly says, okay. So it shows the last scene of the episode of the show. Carly is in the airplane, and she tried to call Drew before they took off, but Drew probably was getting dressed because he was at poolside, and then he was talking to Marshall. And you know, they kind of cleared the air about him pretending to want to hire him, you know, and Marshall and them saying, well, you were, you know, you're a good friend of my son. You were just trying to help my son, right? And maybe had I been more forthcoming, my son wouldn't have had to feel like he had to, you know, go through all that to find out about me. So when he hears Carly's message, he calls her back, but the plane's already in the air. It goes straight to voicemail. So Carly looks at her phone and she sees she got a voicemail from Drew, and now she's trying to call him back. I'm like, how are you going to do that when you're in the air? Doesn't work like that, right? So then they hit this huge turbulence, and it says the captain is putting on the emergency seatbelt sign and say, prepare for a, did they say crash landing or no, emergency landing? Prepare for an emergency landing. And all of a sudden the plane goes to the side, and Carly, you see her like falling all the way over to the side. Hopefully her seatbelt was on because everything happened so fast. I really couldn't tell if she had a seatbelt on, you know. So we shall see. It looks like her plane is about to go down. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, are we getting ready to get an Adventures in Carly land, right? She's going to end up in a plane crash. Are they going to give Carly amnesia now? And Carly's going to live her best life? Or Carly, is she going to crash land where Jason is and find Jay? I don't know what's going to happen with Carly, or was it just bad turbulence or whatever, but we shall see. You know, maybe they're getting ready to have a new adventure for Carly, something interesting. Hopefully everybody don't think she's dead. We've had enough of that, but we shall see. We'll see where they go with that. And then Dex and Josh, so Josh does go over after Carly leaves and talks to Dex, and she, you know, thanks him again for helping her find Avery's bracelet. And she says, oh, but you know, listen, I need to ask you a favor. I didn't tell anybody about, you know, the dumpster diving and all of that, and you helping me. Look, can we just keep this between us? You know, I didn't even tell Cam. And he goes, oh, your boyfriend? You didn't tell your boyfriend? He goes, sure, we can keep this between us. And I was thinking, okay, Jocelyn, now you do know he's going to think, ooh, she doesn't want to tell her boyfriend because she's got some feelings for me. And there's nothing in it for Dex to truly keep that secret, except right now he's trying to get on Jocelyn's good side. So he just might keep that secret. But I was thinking, oh, I don't know, Jocelyn, if that's the right move to make. So Dex gets up and he leaves his sunglasses on the table. Now, mind you, Brando, him, Sonny, Sasha, and Gladys are at another table having desserts. And Brando's looking at Jocelyn talking to Dex, because you know Brando can't stand Dex, right? So he sees Dex leave and he sees Jocelyn stand up and see Dex's sunglasses. So Jocelyn's going out that side back door, which is off of an alley. So Brando says, oh, excuse me, I have to go do something, because Brando's not liking the fact Jocelyn's going through the back in an alley and it's night. Jocelyn doesn't think a lot of the time, right? So now all of a sudden it's raining like cats and dogs. Jocelyn is going past the trash bins. We see somebody in the shadow, and we see a stinking hook. I saw that hook. I said, oh my goodness. Okay. Nicholas is at the hospital with Ava. We already know Spencer is in Pittenville, but he was drunk anyway. Elizabeth is talking to Finn, and only person really unaccounted for is Victor, but Victor would never, ever be in an alley with a hook. He doesn't get his hands dirty that way. And it's raining too? Not on those expensive suits and shoes. Absolutely not, my boy. So um it's gonna be interesting. We got Mason. Where is Mason? But why would Mason be in an alley? No one knew Jocelyn was going to be walking out there. So it's not like this person's after Jocelyn. Except we all know Esme hates Jocelyn, but who knew Jocelyn was gonna go out the side like that? That is completely random. So Brando comes out and it shows the hook coming down. And I'm like, oh my God, does Brando get hit with the hook? Wow. See, today's episode, now that's some cliffhanger stuff for you. I can't wait tomorrow to find out what happens. Does Brando get hooked? Okay. So that was incredible. And out the blue and off the chain, we've got another serial killer in Port Charles. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's go to Comic Corner. Comic Corner. We have Robin says Miss Wu and Curtis would be good together and run things. She has good ideas. I don't think so. Not Miss Wu and Curtis. And then we have Mark says, I still say Austin's cousin, the ball guy, Mason, stabbed Ava. Austin was following his cousin. I know. You notice they never addressed either you gave me the slip, it could have been you, you know, or any of that. Because actually Austin asked him, which means Austin lost track of Mason at some point. And we have Lisa. She says Nicholas has been acting off since Ava got attacked. Just because Ned and Brooklyn's mom couldn't work together doesn't mean Chase and Brooklyn can't. They've been okay so far. When they do get her songs back from Link, they will be set up very good. Really, well, we'll see, but there's going to be a whole bunch of oopla oopla with that. And then we've got Lisa. She made a bunch of really great comments. I want, if you want to read them because they're kind of long, to go to yesterday's episode and click on the comments and see Lisa's comments. Great comments, Lisa. Phenomenal comments. And she also heard Brenda is returning as well. Where's everybody hearing about Brenda? Goodness, Brenda should be a grandmother by now. Now, Nakisha says, I think we can safely say Ava has fully redeemed on General Hospital. The people that hated her the most, they kept her alive. Joss and Dex saved Ava. Now Sunny is protecting her. She never thought she would see that day. She's okay with it because she likes Ava and she hopes she keeps her still Ava edge, because Ava does have an edge. Ava was a mob woman. She doesn't like Nicholas. Yuck, nobody likes Nicholas. And then Lorraine says, well, I like Nina because I always blame Jackson Carly for lying to her. They need to give Nina a new makeover, change her hair color. Ava is always thinking she's always thinking she doesn't want to give Sonny any kind of information, something that he can use against her later, because Sonny would, look, you killed Esme. Now I'm taking sole custody. Try to do something. That little piece of information will come out, Ava. Sonny is ruthless like that. You have to be careful the information you give him, except I think Ava, the Esme thing, he would have said, that a girl, Ava, that a girl. And he would keep that secret. I do believe. And then Sandy says, Miss Wu is very comfortable with her new spot to Savoy. Yes, she is. Stella finally told Jordan that she stole the divorce papers. Let's see what happens next. And she says Nicholas is acting suspicious. And let's see, that is all of the comments on Comment Corner. That's all the great, wonderful comments on Comment Corner. Thank you very much. Let's see tomorrow. I can't wait. I can't wait for General Hospital. And I can't wait to read your comments from today's episode as well. So I will be back tomorrow on Wednesday, September the 14th, for the next daily recap of General Hospital. Did I say Young and the Restless a minute ago? General Hospital. General Hospital.